My name is Miranda Barraby, but I go by Miranda Lynn Hair and Beauty. That's my business name. I've been in the industry for 11 years now. I do both hair and makeup, and I um, I cover southeastern Massachusetts and like the Boston area and also most of Rhode Island. And I got into the bridal industry by mistake. Actually, I didn't mean to. I went to cosmetology school. I always knew since I was in like the sixth grade that I was going to do hair. And I thought I was going to end up in Boston on Newbury Street being like a color specialist. So I went to Paul Mitchell to get my cosmetology license. And during the program, we did a quick stint on updos. And I fell in love with the updos and the creativity of it. And also, I was really into ceramics in high school. And so I kind of felt like it was a structural build that I really loved, like a 3D kind of feel. And I became quickly known as the updo queen in Paul Mitchell, and I would just run around and like do updos on everybody. And I really fell in love for it. And then makeup kind of became a part of it. I was always into makeup, but I didn't ever really think I was going to do it on someone else. And then I also quickly fell in love with it. So I ended up joining a bridal beauty team. So it's kind of like what I do now, but somebody else owned it. And I was just a freelancer for them. And I was just a little baby 19-year-old. And one of the teachers gave me this job and was like, "Hey, I know they're hiring like fresh out of school." And I was like, "Yeah, let's go for it." So I ended up joining them and I worked for them for about maybe like 5 years or so, and like really build up my skill set. I just did it seasonally while I worked in a salon. And then I really fell out of love with the salon and knew that I wanted to do this full time. Dwindled my time in the salon, moved from that team and started my own. And then I put in my 2 weeks at the salon to go full launch, and then COVID shut everything down a week into it. So that was crazy. But I still ended up the year doing really well. And if anything, COVID taught me that this is a like recession proof and maybe even a pandemic proof job, and that I could do it even in the hardest time. So I went full launch into my full time just hair and makeup, and it's been good ever since 2020. So
That is honestly like, wow. I feel like I knew a piece of your story, but our story is quite literally the same. Like, minus, like, if you had a 9 to 5 thrown in there as well, like, we quite literally are this. Like, I was on a hair and makeup team for 5 years. Like, wow. And I am so with you. We are recession proof. So thank you for bringing that up because we may be going into a sneaky little recession, but I mean, if we all made it through COVID, we can do this.
yes. And honestly, at the end of the day, like people are always going to want to get married.
Yeah,
And I at the time during COVID, I was like, oh my God, I'm not like essential. I'm an essential worker. I'm not in like the medical field. Like no one needs this. But it didn't matter if people were even getting married in their backyard. They still want to look good. Because if you don't like the way you look in photos, then the whole thing is pointless. So
exactly.
it really I think gave me the confidence that I didn't know that I needed. And I think that really like catapulted me. It like proved something to me that I didn't even know needed to be proved, and catapulted me really into just full blown going for it, no backup plan. Um and it all thank God it all ended up working out. But um yeah, definitely recession proof for sure.
For sure. So, okay, so you went full throttle 2020. So, where were you at business wise prior to finding out about Bridal Boss Academy? Like, what was going on in your business? Was there anything that you were like, okay, I think I'm ready to invest in like business education?
Yes, 2023 was a very difficult year for me. It was my 10th year in business, of doing this, and 2023 made me almost quit. I said 3 times during that year that I don't think I want to do this anymore. But the problem is I have no backup plan. So like I didn't go to college. Like this is it. And so I knew I had to make it work. And what I thought to myself is, I fought so hard for this career because everyone else didn't want me to do it. And I knew myself best. I knew what I wanted. Also, you can't tell me what to do. Like I'm always going to do what I want to do. So I was like, I fought so hard for a career that I love. I can't let it be ruined for me. If I wanted to be miserable, I would have listened to everybody else and like went to go be a nurse. Like, you don't want me to be a nurse. Like, you don't, like, that's not for me. In a panic situation, you don't want me there. So I was like, I have to figure this out because I can't not love my job anymore. It would be devastating to me if I let all of these outside issues get the best of me. And I knew I needed change. I knew I needed, like, something had to give. And I think I was still really unsure of exactly who I wanted to serve and who my ideal client was. I remember listening to a video of yours. Um, and it really like called me out. I was like, damn. I was like, ooh, like she just got me. It was when you were like, oh, it was something in one of those videos where you were promoting Bridal Boss Academy, where you were like, I know what you're doing. You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna practice and I'm gonna do content, but then first let me just go to Target real quick, and then I have to walk my dog. I was like, oh no. Like I was like, does she
There.
have a camera in my house? How does she know that I'm doing that? Um, and it really stuck with me and it really called me out on these little things that I think were really adding up to big shortcomings in my business. I wasn't being honest with myself and being like, yeah, you have to practice because you can't be showing up at a job and hoping and wishing for the best. Also in 2023, I was feeling really disappointed in my work. And I don't know, it could have been a combination of a lot of things. It could have been a combination of me a lot of outside factors that um like I was having really terrible getting ready spaces, like 4x4 rooms with no AC, being like, figure it out. And I'm like, no, this is not it. I was having a lot of like really disrespectful bridal parties that were just blatantly not listening to me, and like making my job much more difficult. I learned a lot of really hard lessons. Like there was a lot of money that I ate because of my own mistakes. So between all of those things, I think it really took a toll on also like my work and the quality of it. And I was so tired and exhausted, and I didn't even want anything to do with hair and makeup at the end of the weekend that I didn't want to practice. And I'm like, okay, but if you're not happy with your work and then you're letting all these outside factors affect that, and then it's like this vicious cycle of like you're just not happy and then you're disappointed because you're not happy with your work, but then you're exhausted and then you're not doing the work and blah, 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 blah. So
Yeah.
I was like, something's gotta give. um and I just remember listening to that YouTube video of when you were promoting that, and I was like, oh my God, this is literally me. So that video changed everything. And I was like, you know what? I need change. I'm going to do it. I'm going to invest in myself. And I did end up taking this other class as well that was a lot to do with like copy, like writing copy for a website for SEO and stuff. So basically the end of 2023, because I had such a terrible year, I was like, I am going to spend the money that I need to do to make this business into what I need it to be because I need this to work. So I invested in you, I invested in that class, I invested in like branding photos, I got a new logo, I got a new design. Like I just went full throttle. And I was like, I know that this is all going to pay off. I know that if I invest in myself and because I care enough that it's going to work out for me. So I still tell people to this day after taking your class, I'm still like, that was the like change that I needed. Like that catapulted me to have an amazing year that I had in 2024 and still having.
Oh, that don't make me get emotional, please, because like I resonate with your story so much. And like honestly, thank you for sharing like that small piece of like you were having issues with bridal parties, you were in terrible spaces, and it made you feel like you wanted to leave the industry because I feel like so many people resonate with that, but not enough of us like share that piece of the journey. So like that's going to help a lot of people not feel alone in their own journey
Mhm.
because so many people are going through that. So seriously, thank you. But now, so we were like, I'm done. Then you join the program. You join a copywriting program. That is like honestly one of the best ones to join as well. And like you did like a whole rebrand. And it was so fun to watch to like see your rebrand photos and your logo and everything. And I loved your photos that you did. They were so freaking fun with like the phone. Oh, please, I
Yeah.
can't. It was so cute. So how did 2024 shift for you in comparison to 2023?
So I, a part of the academy course that when I took from you is the emails and the way that you were preparing your brides to set yourself up for success. So I took a lot from those courses to be like, okay, there, of course, there are going to be things like outside factors that I'm not going to be able to control, and we're going to roll with it because we're flexible and adaptable. However, what were all of the issues? I had to like write down all of the things that I wanted to change from 2023 that really like set me over the edge. And how can I be responsible to guide my clients and set them up, which then sets me up for success? It's like basically like this is literally your client's first rodeo. Like they don't know. They don't know anything. And so if you go into this, if you're jaded from the industry, assuming, well, they should just know, you're going to set yourself up for failure because they don't know actually. You're a professional. They're hiring you for a job. You need to guide them. So through those courses, that kind of all clicked that for me. And there was a lot of like the email parts of like, what to send to your clients and all those things and like set up all your templates and stuff. I did have some templates but not to like the extent that you had. I changed all of those, and I also took a lot of from you of like the titles of the email being like fun and like I'm pretty like true to myself and authentic, but I just really played into that. And I had like fun language and I wrote the emails in the way of how I would speak to them. And so I made this is like a famous email that I've been sending, and it has set me up for success. I've only had maybe like two people out of all my bridesmaids and bridal parties this year that have not followed directions because I've had this email stick out because I've made it funny. It's like funny but firm,
Yeah.
where I send them an email and it's a template and it says, it's automated. So it gets sent out a week before their wedding. And it says, quick, send this to your bridal party. And at the top, it says, girl, I know you have like 50 million things to do, but just like do me a solid and just send this to your bridal party because they're going to want to look their best and I want to make them look their best. And so they're like, okay. And then, so it's just like a list of directions of how they should follow and come prepared for their hair and makeup. And so I had a lot of wet hair last year. People were just showing up with wet hair, and I was like going to lose my mind actually. So I was like, how do I stick it to them and be very firm, but make it funny that they'll remember? And so I had at the top in bold capital, for the love of God, don't show up with wet hair. And I said, because then you're going to get charged a hefty wet hair fee. And nobody wants that with like a sad face. And I was literally having bridesmaids come up to me like, don't worry, girl, we have our hair dry. And being like, oh my God, my hair's so wet. Like, they were like messing with me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, did you like my slightly threatening emails? And they're like, we love them. They were so funny. And I'm like, haha, but seriously.
But for real, thank you for coming with the dry hair. I'm
Yes.
obsessed with that because it's like, I feel like sometimes with emails, particularly, we can get so like robotic. And
Hmm.
like, you have such a fun personality. You want to make sure that shines through. Like, obviously, that's freaking hilarious. So, of course, now they're going to make sure they pay attention to the directions because you were slightly threatening, but sarcastic at the same time. And that's truly your personality and you're letting it shine in your emails. So like I love that the email templates maybe like gave you a slight permission slip to like add the fun back into the emails. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I love that you were using them because I know you're a ride or die honey booker and a
I
ride or
um,
die dubsado girl.
I
So
know.
I love that because you had Honeybook prior to joining, right?
Yes.
And you said,
So
yeah,
uh the Bridal Boss Academy helped. It had everything I was looking for what I was missing, and the things that I already had because I've already been doing this for like over, quite a few years.
Yeah.
It either made it better or reinstated that I was doing what I needed to do already. So, which is great. Validation is great.
Yeah, because in this industry, sometimes you're doing things and you're like, is that what I should be saying? Is that the right thing? Do you know what I mean? Um, so it sounds like you're having a lot more fun in your business this year. Like, do you
Yeah.
feel like you were able to, because just as like an outsider looking in, it sounds like 2023, maybe you were unaligned with who you were attracting, like not attracting really the ideal bride that you were looking for, like that person who takes it seriously, that, values you, values your experience and all of that. Do you find you were able to find a new ideal bride and maybe start attracting her more?
Yes, absolutely. Because I am definitely like I really try to just attract like bestie brides. Like I want them to feel like, yeah, she does really great hair and makeup, but also like I feel like we could just be besties. That's really like my like niche. That's really what I want. And I feel like 2022 was an amazing year for me, and I still talk to a lot of those brides that I did. I feel like I'm repeating 2022, and like we DM each other on Instagram and we like each other's photos, and I feel like we know who we are. Like I have a really good understanding of like I know who my client is and I know who you are. And for some reason it translates better for hair and makeup because I feel like I know what kind of person they are, and I feel like they know who I am. And I think your classes gave me permission to really be my authentic self and not feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't sound like maybe I'm sounding unprofessional or like whatever. It's just like a hesitancy of just like really putting yourself out there. But honestly, I feel like that was the game changer because I feel like I had so many people, even for 2025, inquire for me and being like, I love your Instagram. Like, I watch you all the time. Like, you just seem so fun. I can tell by your website and like the way you talk. Like, I just think we would have a great time together. And I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like with the email templates and then also with all of your ideas for like stories and for content and everything. It also made me be like less afraid and also just be like straight up like, you need to do this. It doesn't matter if you don't want to be a social media content person, too bad. Like, you have to do this. And so I was like, yeah, like that's a hard learned lesson on my end that it's like, it doesn't really matter whether you don't want to like be vulnerable and show up on camera and do all of these like content creation things. Like this is the difference between whether you're going to have a successful business or not and when if you're going to attract the people that you want. And so it kind of just really pushed me and like lit a fire under my butt. And I think with those stories and those examples that you have given us to create and like how to show up in social media and like how to even edit. Like I remember you saying like do 2 second cuts. Like I do that. Like and it makes sense for me. So all of those things, long story short, all of those things really gave me the tools and ideas of what to do with all of it and how to show up. And I am having direct feedback because of it. Being like, oh my God, I saw this on your Instagram and I saw that you posted, and oh, I read that on your Instagram, and oh, you look so fun from your Instagram. I think we would be good friends. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
You literally like took it and ran with it. Like you literally are like, oh, okay. Cause like I follow you on Instagram and I do notice that you show up. Like prior to joining, do you feel like you were showing up like that on social media? Like how were you showing up prior to Bridal Boss Academy on social media?
I think before your classes, I was just showing up and doing the least, honestly. I was
Bare
like,
minimum.
perfect bridal bun. You know what I mean? Like no one cares. And so I was like, when you started talking about how you need to be the solution for your ideal client's problems. Like talk to them. Pretend that like you are talking to someone, or if an ideal client is shopping around and they read your captions, they're going to be like, "Oh my God, yes, this speaks to me."
Yeah.
That changed everything. That changed everything for me. And I think I'm fortunate enough that I'm very secure in who I am and like how I show up. So it's very easy for me to write those things because I just write it how I talk it.
Yeah.
But I really think that's what made the difference. I was basically like, I don't someone tell me what to do. Someone give me the tools of exactly a formulation of how I should be showing up on social media. And that's exactly what Bridal Boss Academy gave me. And then I was just like, oh, bet, like plug, 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 plug. Like then it was just easy.
Yeah.
I felt like the way that you had your courses set up, and specifically the social media part, it was very effortless for me and didn't really take a lot of work. And now that I've been doing it for a while, I kind of just know how to what works for me and what kind of, shows up. And of course, I think I could always be better. We go through like seasons and periods of our life where like I'm super creative and I'm like, I have all of the content. And then I'm like, oh dear God, I just need to like lay in bed. So
Yeah. I mean, we all
yeah.
go through those ebbs and flows. And, I'm glad that now you at least, it sounds like you have foundations that, like, okay, when I want to pop back into it, I know I can go back to this and know how to show up, how I want to show up, be intentional, be strategic, because you're attracting that ideal bride. Um,
Yeah.
so I did remove the content portion and separated the program. So now the content is Bridalpreneur Socials, and Bridal Boss Academy is focusing on those like business foundations.
Yeah.
So like the emails, the ideal bride, packaging your services. And I would love to know, where are you with your pricing? Do you do a la carte? Did you prior, or do you do packages?
So I did a la carte before and I still do a la carte because I have ran through this so many times with doing hair and makeup and
Mhm.
I just can't do it. I just like still can't figure it out. So
Solid.
that's the only thing I really didn't take away. Like I couldn't change is I'm still doing both hair and makeup because I am still like in my heart a hair and makeup girl. And I couldn't do packaging. I think it's really, really hard to do packaging if you do both hair and makeup. So, and I've significantly raised my prices probably since I've started Bridal Boss Academy, and um, it still like has worked out, and I've adjusted things in the way that I've needed them to, and I'm still booking, so everything's great.
I love talking. I've been talking to quite a few Bridal Boss Academy members, and like you're such a testament too. Is like you went in, you took what worked for you, and you
Mhm.
adjust it, and you like, because yeah, I do talk about like niching down, but I feel like you niche down within bridal hair and makeup. Like it's not even like you have to remove one service or that you have to do packages. Like I'm so glad to hear that you were able to take away, like, okay, I can raise my rates, and you were able to do that, and you were like, this is what works for me. This is what I'm going to do. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I love that you didn't to it as like, I have to do this because it's you took what works for you and you were confident about it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. So with the program, were you able to book more brides for 2025, 2024?
So I'm all booked out usually about early winter for the next year. I only take about 40 to 45 weddings a year. So I don't usually unless it's like a random elopement, I'll always take those. But I have a really like set of what feels good for me. And I found that out post COVID when I ran myself ragged and like also didn't love that and didn't show up my best.
Yeah.
So I have a pretty like set number. So I do think it's easier for me to fill up. But and also I feel good about that because I raise my prices and I price things accordingly. That makes sense to me. And like, oh, I loved all like the profit margin stuff too in Bridal Boss. Like I was like, I want that data. Like, and it's so funny because I'll hear like other people talk and I'm like, you just need to run like you need to find out what your profit margins are. And they're like, I don't know what that is. And I'm just like, yeah, well, I took BBI, so
I
and I'm
know
just
my
like, I know
kid.
how to do math now. So um I'm just like throwing out like big words like profit margins and stuff and revenue. So
We're so cool.
like I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, 2025, I can feel it that the desperation of brides has gone down. Like that post-COVID friendly is no longer. So if anything, it does feel a little bit of whiplash because I do feel like we're like, oh my God, we're not booking as fast. And I know a lot of other artists that I've been talking to haven't been. But I'm still booking. I'm almost booked fully. So I'm like ever so slightly behind, but not really. But I also don't really care about it because I have raised my prices accordingly. I'm also very picky about who I book. I don't just like book things that are 2 hours away. I have certain minimums for certain days that I feel very strongly about. Like I'm more about booking quality and what I want, and I'm willing to wait out for that. So even if it goes past my typical booking, like norms, that's okay. I feel confident in what I offer and what I'm doing and where my business is going. That doesn't scare me. Also, too, I feel like the people that I have been booking are very aligned in my ideal client, and that is at the end of the day the most important.
Yeah, and I can literally just feel like confidence, like coming off of you just even talking about that because it's like wild to think like you wanted to leave and now you're like if you're not my ideal bride and like that is such like a relief, isn't it, to be like no, actually I can decide who I want to work with. Like I'm not going to take anybody who comes in my inbox. Do you know what I mean? Like that is such like a CEO energy is what you're
Thank you.
exhibiting here. Like
Thank you so much. Yeah. And you know what it is too is because it goes both ways. I always tell people that, I am still big on phone consultations. I really do love people talking on the phone. And the people who book them usually tell me on the phone, you're the only person that offered a phone call. You're the only person, like, I've been looking for someone like this, or thank you so much for allowing me to book a phone call. So I don't care whether people are doing phone calls or not. Like, you should do whatever works for your business. But again, I'm putting out what I'm trying to attract, and the people that are finding me also want that. So that's great. And I want them, it goes both ways. I want them to feel like I'm a good match for them. I don't want anyone to invest in me with hesitancy. I really don't. I want people to feel 100% sure that this is a great investment for them. So that's why I'm particular. And I always tell people, like, you need to make sure that I'm a good fit for you. You may not like me, but so
we're gonna spend a
that's
lot of time together. Like you
yeah.
vibe, right?
Yeah. I want to be like a good morning. I want it to be fun for everyone involved. So
Exactly. It's a very intimate experience, what we do. I would love to know if I removed everything from Bridal Boss Academy and only kept one thing, what would be like the ride or die piece that you're like, don't remove that. That was like essential for me.
oh God,
You're like, just
that's such a
one?
great question. Well, it's interesting to hear that because you have your other program now, the entrepreneur. I think I want to say all of the social media stuff. Don't remove it, but if it's in another program, then that's perfect. Like if you had those two programs, when I first joined, I probably would have picked an entrepreneur just because of where I was in my business. I lucked out and got it all. But I feel like for me, all of the social media portions and how to show up and the like formulations of everything and the wheel and everything, I think that was the biggest part for me. Like when I think about the academy, those are the things that I think about the most. And I think really changed my business. I don't know if the email templates was part of that. I can't remember the like organization of it, but that part also really changed for me because it allowed me to give my clients a better experience, which then gave me a better experience. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's like, I think I might be a case where I was already very far in my business.
Mhm.
But I think if someone is in a position where they're just starting out and they don't even know like where to begin, I think Bridal Boss Academy is has everything that you need really to like get things going. If I think if you're someone like me and you just need a lot of like social media help, then I think your other program that you're doing is like ideal.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I wanted to separate them because of the feedback that I got from you and other people. Because I'm like, okay, I know social media is essential, but it's a lot. And I could talk
Yeah.
about social media for days. So I would literally give you like 80 plus videos on just social. And I overwhelm my people, is what my mentor told me. So I was like, we need to separate here. What would
It
you,
was smart.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What would you say was like a big win for you or like a big goal that you hit going through the program?
Um, I think a big goal was having direct feedback from my clients saying that they were so impressed with my social media. They were, a lot of people were like, I love your Instagram. They were like, it's so professional. It's so like what they're looking for. It's easy to understand who I am, what I do. I also get a lot of people who show me my own work for, yeah, yes, I know. It's like the biggest compliment you could get
Yeah.
because I'm finding people who are booking me for a reason. So a lot of the feedback that I got that had to do with my social media, and also too, people would be like, "Oh, I saw that you did this the other day," and I'm like, "Oh, like you're watching me,
You're
like you're paying
stalking
attention." So
me.
I was getting a lot of direct feedback, and I feel like all the seeds that I've been planting when I originally took your class and all of the work that I've been putting in, it really all paid off. I really was reaping what I sowed, and all of those seeds that I planted, I really think all paid off. So I think the direct feedback of my social media and website, um, and just feeling like people really get a strong sense of who I am. And I think that has been very important to my business and my overall happiness, but also my clients.
Yeah, that is, I mean, no better compliment than when they pull up the photo and it's one of yours. It's like, am I a celebrity?
I'm like, oh, wow, me?
Little of me. Um,
Yeah.
well, also speaking of profit margins, because we're CEOs, do you feel you were able to bring in more profit in 2024 versus 2023?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. I was happy that when I did run those numbers, I realized that my profit margins were already very high. Like, so I was like, okay, great. I'm already doing great. So that was a very good like confirmation for me that I am where I was supposed to be. I have raised them since then. So I haven't ran the numbers just yet, but I saw a few things that I wanted to change regarding like my trials. So my trials are higher now, but they get more of me because I've realized this year that I cannot do back-to-back trials. I only want to do one person for both hair and makeup. And I was having a lot of people just wanting to do two different hairstyles, and I didn't have the time to do them.
Mhm.
And they would always have to book another like slot with me. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take one person for hair and makeup. I'm going to make them super long and they get two full hairstyles, but I'm going to charge more for it. And honestly, people haven't even questioned it. They're like, oh, yes, it's exactly what I want. And I'm like, okay, great. So
Yeah.
I've like found out like, okay, what is a thing that keeps repeating, that keeps happening, and like how do I just make it better? So other than that, I haven't changed too much, but yeah, the hair extension rentals were, oh wait, the hair extension rentals. I can't forget about those. Those were, Marissa, when I was telling you, people were literally like, this is genius. And I'm like, well, it's not my idea. Like
It
it
wasn't
was
mine
from my,
either. I
yeah,
wish it was. I wish.
yes.
Mhm.
Who was it that,
Kara Klein. I
oh,
don't
okay.
know if that was her thought, but I would love to take credit for it, but I can't.
Oh, well, I wrote a blog about it and I credited you, so maybe we'll have to double credit with Kara Klein. But so I mean that has been such a hit. I've used it for a lot of clients, but I've also had people like straight up tell me like this is brilliant. This is a brilliant business decision. And I'm like, thank you. Like I love it. And so it's been really great for me. Like that has also given me more profit. And I did a lot of like touch ups this year because I really love touch ups. And so I've been trying to like on my social media promote that more because I'm like, that's really what I want to do. So I'm not gonna lie, I forgot the original question. I was so
I
excited with the hair extensions, I totally forgot.
hair extensions. I mean, I love hair extensions and those little upsells that we can always add in. And I'm such a touch-up girl too. Like I love staying for touch-up. So I love that you're like, okay, let me promote that more. Let me put that more on my
Yeah.
social media and then I'm gonna attract it in more. And it's like you're such a go-getter and like you actually go out and you promote your business because like I see you doing it. Like you really like put out what you want to attract and you don't like wait for it to come to you because like some people think that we just like post once and we're done kind of vibe. But
Yes.
like you really put it out there and attract that in. So I'm sure you're going to get so many more touch ups. Um, but what was I going to say? So if somebody was on the fence of joining Bridal Boss Academy, what would you say to them?
I would tell them that it's the best business decision that I've ever made in my business. Like I have always been very wary of taking classes because I've been disappointed in the past. And I've always felt, specifically when it comes to business classes, that it just hasn't been specific enough. Like it's been, here's an option, but it's not really broken down so specifically
Mhm.
and like in such detail that I'm looking for like step one, step two, step three. That's what I'm looking for. So I was super impressed with it because I felt like you couldn't have gotten any more detailed. I was like, it's very black and white. It's very easy to digest. It's very attainable to do. And all you have to do is you want to do it. If you want to do it, you'll do it. You have to put in the work. And then as soon as you start doing it though, it after a while it becomes second nature. So I feel like, and I've told so many people this. I was like, if you are looking to really change your business and to get very specific answers of exactly how you should be showing up, how you should be advertising yourself on social media, how to find out your data, like profit margins and stuff. So you're not just out here in the ether being like, I just don't understand. I just don't know. Your program it has answered every single question I ever had of why things weren't working for me and then some. So I truly felt like if I didn't take your course, I don't know if I would have had the year that I had. I really feel like it made that much of a difference, truly.
Wow, that is like the biggest compliment. Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I am
absolutely.
so grateful that I somehow attracted you into my business. Like, thank you so much. But I would love for everybody to know where they can find you. What's your Instagram handle? Where do you hang out?
I hang out Instagram. You can find me at Miranda Lynn underscore hair and beauty. You can find my song of the day there and see what I'm listening to.
Find her
That's
cutie
another
little
thing.
studio.
Yeah, you can see my studio with my creepy mannequin heads in the back that everyone like gets a laugh out of. People also too, like I've like kind of made that my thing, like my song of the day. And I've made like a playlist and like my clients will follow me and they're like, oh my God, I've been following you and listening to your song of the day. Like I'm finally getting married, like I finally get engaged. Like it's like just such a personal touch and I love it. And I feel like I was also able to show up because of that.
Yay. You are
And
such
also,
a, oh, go ahead.
oh no, it's okay. I was just gonna compliment you more. I feel that it's very hard to find in this industry people who really care. I think a lot of people who do classes um, really don't take the time to make adjustments, to like really care and check up on their customers that ended up getting the academy. They don't follow through. And I was like, oh, 100% down to join in so we can get continued education because I know the type of person that you are and I know how much you care that it's going to be worth staying up to date on things because I know that you have your own mentors and you're changing things. You're always trying to better things. You're always trying to improve, get feedback, take the criticism, do all of these things. And I don't think many people, specifically in this industry, are willing to do that or care enough to do that. I think it's kind of like a cash grab. And I've never gotten that from you. So that's another reason why I continue to be such a supporter is because of your like ethics and like who you are. So I'm just really super appreciative.